Stick around for this episode of the Tunepact Podcast where our guest will be Emchy.
Hey, it's Emchy. Stick around for the next episode.
Welcome to the Tunepact Podcast. I'm your host, the punk rock pop-pop, Lee Pierce. And today we are lucky enough to be blessed with, finally, Emchy. We have been battling schedules and illnesses for weeks, and I'm so glad to finally have you here. Thank you, and could you do us a favor and introduce yourself, please?
Absolutely. I'm so glad to be here. It has definitely been a roller coaster. The fates not aligning for us. My name is Emchy. I am the lead singer, founder, and primary songwriter for the Secret Emchy Society, which is a gay goth country band out of Oakland, California, that has been frequently compared to if Nick Cave and Buck Owens had a baby. It would sound like us, and I that's a huge compliment to me, so I'll take it.
Yeah, that's definitely some good company to keep, and you don't hear that that
Oh,
recipe brought up very often, and it is pretty accurate. That's a good one to stay with for
thank you.
sure.
Yeah,
So,
I've got.
sorry,
Oh, go
go
ahead.
ahead.
I have really diverse interests musically, and so when people started noticing that when they were comparing us to people, I was like, "Wait, it's like you're in my CD collection. This is great." So,
Oh, what is your musical background? Were you always in the country genre or not?
Um, since I've been in bands, I've always been in either old-timey folk or country. I started out as an accordion player in some folk punk bands, and so that is played with a lot of traveler kid bands, a lot of train hopping songs, a lot of like drinking around a campfire songs, and the two bands kind of naturally did the two original bands I was in, Vagabondage and Rhubarb Whiskey, naturally kind of diverged a little bit, and Vagabondage ended up being more folk punk, and Rhubarb Whiskey ended up being more country and murder ballady. And so from there, both bands ended up. Well, actually, Vagabondage has not disbanded. We've taken some extended breaks, but we're going to have a show booked already for next year. So, but Rhubarb Whiskey disbanded due to geographic limitations. Somebody had to move back to the Midwest. And so, I sort of, while one band was on a break and the other was disbanding, I was like, I'm just going to make a band that has my own name in it so that I don't have to keep changing the name every time somebody has to move away because the Bay Area is so expensive. And in 2015, the Secret Emchy Society was born, and it's a loose collective of all my favorite people in the world to play music with, and it's really a great time. So that's where we come from.
That's really awesome. And it's so funny that you play accordion because I was just talking to one of my clients. I've known him for months. And he said something about, yeah, I played accordion on their album. I'm like, how do I know this many accordion players? I know personally at least 7 or 8 accordion players. Yes, I live in
Yeah.
Wisconsin, but none of them are polka artists. So the fact I know so many accordion players is just awesome. And now I can add one more to that list. That's great.
I also do not play polka. So,
I do love polka, but that's not the accordion players I know.
yeah.
So we're gonna talk about touring and how to do it the right way and make it a positive
Yeah.
thing. So what are some things that you've struggled with when planning a tour or on tour?
hmm Well, the biggest struggle of tour is taking care of yourself well enough that you can make it to the end of tour and not get sick or get so and like not ruin your voice, not lose your voice. Excuse me. I have definitely had more than one tour where I've lost my voice, and that was super, difficult and not a good time. So one of the things I would say is the biggest deal is make sure that you have good places to sleep. And I mean, I also come from a bit of a punk rock background. Like I know I love it when friends are like, "Come sleep on our couch, it'll be great." And it is great as long as there's an actual couch and preferably a blanket and maybe even a pillow. Because as soon as you are on someone's floor with no pillow and no blanket, and it's like, one of these drafty 100-year-old houses that 20 people live in, you're not going to sleep very well. no matter how well intentioned your hosts are. And I've definitely been appreciative of those, but I've done some things to try to figure out ways around that. And I went on this tour in 2016 with my good friend Shauna Virago, who is an amazing Americana and folk punk musician. And she was like, I will go on tour and play lead guitar for you, but I am going to have my own hotel room every night. And I was like, what are we, Rockefellers? What are you talking about? Like, who can afford that, you know? And she was like, I have a credit card and my own like personal well-being is important to me. And so we figured it out. We found some different apps that you can use where if you like log into them at say 5 o'clock at night or 4 o'clock at night, as soon as you get into town, they find the cheapest hotel rooms that haven't been used yet. So the hotels might give them to you at a reduced rate. So we were able to get hotel rooms every night that were like less than $70 usually a night, and that actually does feel doable to me. Like I'm like, well, $70 to not be worried about how I'm gonna get my coffee or if I want to stay up late writing a song. And that's actually been the biggest thing. When I tour is my most prolific time when I'm writing songs for the next record. Something about being on the road makes me just want to write new songs and have all these adventures and write them down, make sure I don't lose any of that magic. And when I'm staying in someone else's house or in my friend's kid's bunk bed, whatever, you can name the things. It's really hard to listen to that muse. Like, let's say it's 2 o'clock in the morning. You cashed out from the bar at like 1:30 or 2. You're getting back. You're already feeling bad that you're like going to wake up these people that are letting you stay there that probably left the show at 11, because they have kids or they, have day jobs or whatever. So you're like, okay, shh. And then you're like, oh crap, I've got an idea for a song. And so there's nowhere to even necessarily hum out a melody that doesn't feel like it might be disruptive. And so getting cheap hotel rooms, even the cheapest hotel rooms in the part of town that makes you anxious, super important because I think that you get a better night's sleep regardless. The second part, which might even be more important, is never, ever, ever, I don't care how cute the town you're in is or how safe it feels, never leave your gear in the van or the car. Even if it's covered, even if you've got tinted back windows and there's a trunk and everything's hidden. Just like never do it, because if there's more than 3 band stickers on your car, there people are tempted to see if there's gear in there because it sells very easily. It's very easy to unload it, and I have known so many friends who have lost all their gear. I even played a show with a band and they had their van parked outside of the venue we were all playing at, and they left their suitcases in the van, but they brought all their gear in. It was on the same block as the bar we were playing at, and then they came in because they were going to pull it up so they could easily load their gear into the van, and their van had been broken into and all of their personal items were gone. And I don't know how you avoid that sometimes, but man, it's just like it is. I had one of my first bandmates just drummed that into my head like crazy because he'd had stuff stolen before. It's like never leave anything in a van. And what was the other one? I've seen bands that have really cool bumper stickers that like allude to drinking, like fragile, like don't break the wine, or just like get drunk with the whatever band. Okay, if you're on tour, take those off your van because they're like an invitation for cops to pull you over after 11 o'clock at night. I had a friend who opened a bar up in this town called Doyle, up in out near Reno, and the bumper sticker was something like, like I got plowed at the Buck Inn or whatever, and everyone leaving the bar for the first 2 months they were open got pulled over by the cops. So they actually had to change the bar's bumper stickers because they were like, people were like, we can't, no, we're all getting pulled over. Like, this is not working for us. So it seems really cute and it works really well on like a guitar case, but like on a car, it's such an invitation for a cop to pull you over.
Well, and especially if out of state plates. If you got out of state plates on a van, and well, that same thing is always make sure that you have contact information for whoever opens and unlocks the venue, because there's nothing worse than
Yeah.
you get there and you don't have the don't know the place isn't unlocked yet. You don't have all you got is an email. Are they even going to check it? And now you've got people standing around that aren't locals or around a van with out of state plates in a parking lot. You're going to get hassled, whether it's by
Yeah.
locals or police. So you really got to keep an eye. Yeah, the communication's key also, because yeah, it can go bad either way because of the police or because there are no police. So it can always
Right.
happen.
Yeah, I mean, I've been really lucky. I feel like on tour, I've mostly run into incredibly cool people at venues and crowds and in the parking lots and everything. But it's you want to make sure you're being as smart as you would at least be in your own hometown and not be not kind of throwing caution to the wind. Like throw caution to the wind on stage for sure. Like just like let it all out, let it like leave everything there. But once you are dealing with kind of your own personal safety outside the venue, especially like I normally tour primarily with other women, like you gotta be careful. You gotta like pay attention to your surroundings and what you're doing, and just try to do some self care so that you make it home from tour in time for another one. You know, for
Well,
sure.
speaking of self care, what is it? I mean, people obviously forget the toll physically and emotionally that touring, or even just playing a gig, not even touring, can take
Yeah.
on an artist. I think the artists forget themselves, but especially, labels, booking agents, and the fans too. We forget how hard that is. Is what can you do to try to combat that?
I think You know, uh, for me, there's a few things. I always try to make sure that I'm touring with musicians that I love and that I can trust. Like, I haven't actually gone on tour with someone I didn't know really, really well. Like, I know that there are times where people are like, okay, we had an emergency, so we had to hire a guitarist for tour that you don't know very well. That definitely happens. And I would say, like, interview them the way you would interview somebody you're going on a date with, because they're going to be a very intimate part of your life for like the next however many weeks, when you're on tour. So part of how I keep my mental health solid on tour is I tour with people I love and I can trust. I'm not afraid to phone a friend if I'm having a moment. I have a lot of other friends who are also musicians who are on the road. And there have been times where I was just very stressed out and I was exhausted. And I was like, I knew my wife was already, at home asleep because of the time changes. And I was like, oh, I'm not going to wake her up. And I texted some of my friends that were on tour that I knew were in the same time zone. And I was like, oh my God, like, this is driving me crazy. And they just, they talk you down and they're like, it's not, take a step back. It's not a big deal. You're just stressed out and tired. And one of the best things for your mental health on tour, I'm going to say, those baby cucumbers that you can bring and like lots of water, because you think that like food doesn't matter that much, but like if every snack you're having is like fast food or whatever the venue can give you, which is usually like tater tots and, cheese pizza, um, and a lot of people on tour drink a lot, like whether it's beer or wine or, whiskey or whatever, like a lot, not, there's not usually not a lot of attention being paid to water. So having some kind of vegetable in the car that can be snacked upon that's also very hydrating is all aces. It's like oranges are good, but it takes a long time to peel them and stuff. But the tiny miniature cucumbers, you can just like eat them like they're a snack. It really, really helps. Um, and then the other thing I'm going to say is any day that you've had more than a 10-hour drive should be a drive day, not a show day, because people get real tired. And I'm a notoriously bad stopper when there's long drives. I'm like, how much faster than can we get there? Like, I'm not like, oh, look at the cute little place. We should pull over and check it out and like have a nice day. I'm like, it's a 10-hour drive. Can we get there in 8.5? Come on, let's do it. And like, I'm very, I get really goal oriented on days like that. And so it's really good to not do too much on days where the drive is super long because everyone does get really tired and a little short tempered, I would say.
Was that a little trial and error to figure out for when you were planning your tour that if you had, a longer drive that you would either try to plan it where you could get in early enough to rest or try to have a day off?
Hmm. Yeah, I pretty much, if it's 7 hours or less, I can do a show and it'll be a good one. And if it's more than 7 hours, it's like 7 to 9 gets real, it gets iffy. I just have to make sure that there was like good sleep the night before. And if it's more than 9, it the show might be good, but it'll like takes like 2 or 3 days to shake it off, and like get back to kind of a normal vibe during like the not on time whenever the not on stage time will kind of really suffer for it, and then that's super hard on the mental health for sure.
So with you've been touring a while, and you said you have a lot of friends who are musicians, which is always good too, because then
Hmm.
even if it's a town you don't know, you might already have a fan base because of another friend who may tour there. Do you
Yeah.
ever try to book your tours around being able to see friends and have it just be that something is going to be a positive experience, even without the music involved, just the places you're going
Yeah.
to go? Is, how
I
did you do?
definitely have taken that in mind. Yeah. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, what was the end of your question?
Oh, so that was that a lot of trial and error tour? Did you kind of luck out with beat tour? Like you said, you only tour with bands that you know well, so there's not going to be a
Yeah.
lot of surprises. So you're going to, even if it's an uncomfortable area, you've got comfortable people around you. Does that play a big part in being able to book those tours? Because it kind of eases the mind and where you're going to go and who you're going to run into.
A little bit. So when I play up in Canada, I always play with my friend Carolyn Mark, and then she books all the tours. But I know that I got her as like my anchor, you know? And so all the touring I've done up there has been great because it's always been people I knew. And if I didn't know them yet, they were already kind of vetted by Carolyn and they were already always great. And so I just kind of get myself to her hometown and then I just throw myself in her band, steal her backing band, and then it's all great. Easy breezy, beautiful, no problem. When I've been touring the States before I had a booking agent, I definitely was looking at like I would look at kind of what the final destination was going to be. Like, is the destination playing in Ann Arbor? Is it playing in Chicago? Is it, playing in New Orleans? Like, where is it? What's the end goal? What's the turnaround point? And then from there, I would look at cities where I knew people so that I would more likely have a place to stay. This is before the hotels only tours. But I would make sure I'd have a place to stay. And then I would make sure that I knew people in that town or knew bands in the town so that I could, um, if like have some of their fan base or at least know that I had friends that I could call on. So even if the shows themselves might be like the first time I was playing in that town, so we're just going to start building the base with that first show. At least I know I'm going to have like a great dinner with friends and catch up on times, or at least like laugh a lot, which is always helpful. So that's been a big deal for me. There are some towns where even a lot of big cities are kind of transient, and so even if I know that I've had friends go in and out of them and they're not actively living there anymore, I like to go to the town itself because the town itself feels like a friend. So there are definitely times where I've made that a priority too. Like that's an easy way of kind of figuring out like, oh, well, I definitely want to stop in Kenosha. So I'm going to do that, because Kenosha is a great town. Things like that.
Really cool. How long of tours do you usually try to plan?
I usually do like 10 to 20 day tours are the longest I do. The shortest is about probably 6 days because the shortest ones are usually me going either up to Seattle or Northern Washington or down to Southern California because it's a pretty easy loop in either direction from where I'm at, right in the middle of the West Coast, really. Um, but like port from my house to Portland is 10 hours. So it's like, you've got at least one day that's going to be like a driving day on either side of it. So we figured out a pretty good route though, where we go from here to like Ashland or Eureka, and then we go to Portland, and then we hit Seattle or Bellingham, and then we loop around to Yakima, and then we start the drive back down. And then we like usually play like Ukiah maybe or something like that in Northern California.
So fun. The shirt I'm wearing is one of my clients, 1876, a punk band out of Portland, and they
Yeah.
just toured with Subhumans, and they hit almost all the cities you just named
Okay.
from Portland down to LA. So
Yeah.
almost all of those sound familiar. That's cool. It's kind of the West Coast route, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, and Yakima is new to me. I've only started playing Yakima in the last few years, but my booking agent put us there first, and we have like four super fans in Yakima. So, and two of them are a couple that own a venue. So whenever we go up there, they always want us to play. And then the drive down from Yakima to like Klamath area is it's the most beautiful drive, and so it's just like let's go stay in Yakima again, kids. And we can usually find a gig in Washington and Oregon because we've got some fans there. So it's like all they have to do is ask, and we head on up. So it's pretty nice.
That's really cool. I love hearing those stories. So what are some mistakes that either you've made or you've seen others make when it comes to either planning a tour or actually things that they're doing on tour that after witnessing or happen to you that kind of changed the way you did things?
Oh, that's an interesting one. Well, one, kind of came up before. I did one of my first tours I went on. I was touring with some people that I'd never met before, and by the end of tour, we really had a great dynamic and things had gelled. But in the beginning, it was there were three of us, and like people that kind of didn't know, like we didn't know a dynamic yet, so we were feeling each other out, for every show, and we were booked it kind of as a package, and so there usually weren't locals, and so it was the three of us going, well, who wants to headline tonight? Who wants to do it? And the politics of figuring that out without hurting feelings, and like, different towns reacted to different bands differently, and so it's like, oh, they really liked you, they didn't like me. It was like a weird dynamic for like the first few shows. And so um always that was what I learned, like always play with people you like, so that you're you want to put on the best possible show for the fans, like that's the goal, but is if you can make sure that you're having a good time no matter what because of the people that you're with, then you're going to put on an even better show for them, and the tour is not going to fall apart in the middle because everyone's pissed off at each other. So like those two things together are great.
Because I mean, the ego has to be there, but it has to survive in a healthy
Yeah.
balance. Because artists need ego
Yeah.
in order to create, and especially
Yeah.
when you get multiple you get number of musicians in number of bands, there's always going to be some issues. But like
Yeah.
you said, when you tour with your friends, you're also like, I know I'm my friends' biggest fans. No matter who it is,
Yeah.
what kind of music it is, I'm good. I'm their biggest fan. I'm their cheerleader. And their stickers are on my car. I wear their shirts. I brag them up to everybody. I share their
Yeah.
stuff. And then when you're in a situation like that, it's like even if it was one that you wanted to be the headliner, and find out like, hey, you're going to be happy for them either way because you're their biggest fan. So it takes some of that stress out of that. So
Exactly.
touring the way you do is so smart because you're setting yourself up for success right from the start. And congrats. It sounds like something simple that,
Thank you.
well, why doesn't everyone do it? We wouldn't be having an episode about this if everyone thought about that stuff. So kudos to you.
It's
That's
true.
really cool.
Thank you. Yeah, honestly, it was actually advice that my friend Carolyn gave me when I was having a hard night, and I texted her once on tour. She's like, "We don't get paid enough to suffer through this. Like, this is the good part. Touring is the fun part. Like, make sure you're enjoying it because you're probably going to come home broker than you left. So, like, make sure that you enjoy as much of it as you can." And the other thing though, I am going to say, and I don't know if it's like this for every band, but of all the bands I've known, this is true. Never let the guitarist have access to an open bar. Just going to say, never let the lead guitarist have access to an open bar ever. Especially not before the show. Like, no.
No, I've played in bands over the years, and I don't drink. I've got 9 years sober, so I was always the one. I was the babysitter.
Oh,
I was the
congratulations.
band dad,
Hmm.
and I wouldn't. I purposely there's times I wouldn't even try to book places because I knew they just had like open bar. for the band. And first of
Yeah.
all, it puts a bad. Some people are okay with it. It doesn't matter to me either way. If I want to have a few drinks, that's one thing. But people can get unprofessional really quick and don't mean to, and you never know who's in the crowd that might not
Yeah.
want to see that. You could have someone from a label or other venues and get a little too tips. We're not even on stage, but off stage afterwards. You got to kind of keep that professionalism.
Yeah.
So yeah, I 100% agree with that. But I mean, you still got to have fun though. So you just got to find the balance.
Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely a believer in the fun. I've seen some friends that were being courted by labels who they got nervous about being courted by labels, and so they overdrank for sure and like lost the label opportunity like well a few times. And then also I've played shows where I mean sometimes you get paid in drink tickets, it's true, but also like not everyone congratulations on the sobriety by the way because
Oh,
that's a really big deal. And a lot of
thank you.
people in our community try to do, oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. And I feel like people sometimes really try hard to, if they're not going to sobriety, they also try really hard for moderation. And I feel like there can be a real culture in bars of like, well, you're the band, you're not getting paid, so we're going to help you by like making sure we give you really heavy pours or extra drink tickets if you want them, like anything we can do to like help. And it's like, can you give them some extra salad. Like sometimes I'm like the winning thing is not a quadruple shot of whiskey. And I have definitely, imbibed over imbibed at times, and I'm a big believer in keeping it professional also. And it's like, I'm very specific about how much, like, I have my formula for a night when I'm playing a show. And I don't want to go outside of the formula because we might be debuting a new song. There might be a complicated, like, solo bit in there I'm going to do. There might be lyrics that, like, I don't want to forget them. And I want to be able to do a really good job for people. And if suddenly you've had more than you expect that you've had, or just something in the formula's changed and you didn't know it because somebody had a heavier hand pouring, it can be really problematic, right? And so I tend to drink drinks that are like, I would like a whiskey neat, please, so I can see exactly how much is being poured and I know what to do with it. Or like a whiskey and soda where I watch the pour because I'm very wary of overdoing it, and I've been through a few experiences on stage where people I was in a band with thought they'd had less than they had, and it went really wrong. And I just, it's I want to take care of my people, not like everyone have fun, but also like be safe, and don't embarrass yourself or give a bad show just because you accidentally had 5 drinks before you got on stage.
Well, and bartenders are notorious for wanting to be buddy buddy with the band, and they think, that's cool, that's awesome, tip
Yeah,
your bartenders for love of God. But I mean, at the same sense, though, they don't get
yeah,
that, when you order that whiskey sour, it doesn't need to be 4 ounces of whiskey and 1 ounce of sour mix. They think they're doing the band a favor, not realizing that probably not. You're not going to get the best show. Not true though. Some people function. I've seen it where
yeah.
that's Superman's yellow sun. I
It's
don't know how
true.
it works, but it does happen out there.
It's true. It's true.
Oh,
Yeah, actually, so a bar in Portland did it perfectly one time because we were there and we were there super because you get there really early for sound check, right? So you're there like 5 hours before you're gonna go on stage, and you haven't probably eaten because you like have been on the road and you like park and you load in and you set up and you're like, oh, we'll get dinner in between. Anyway, so you've had no food all day, and the bartender was like, hey, do one of you want to drink while you wait? And then it was like 2 beers, and I think I got it wasn't a cocktail, but it was something. And then as he was picking the beer for the other folks in the band, he was like, "Oh, the two you wanted have a really high alcohol content. Is that what you want, or did you want one of the lighter ones?" And they were like, "Oh, that's really helpful." They were like, "Great," and they got a lighter, like a lower alcohol content beer. And then he asked me, he's like, "Okay, so you got a whiskey soda. Do you want 2 shots in that or just one?" And I was like, "Ooh," I was like, "I just want one." And he was like, "Great." And it was just helpful to kind of ask because he was happy to be generous, awesome bartender, but he was also like, you guys are going to be here with me for like the next 8 hours. So I bet that you don't want to start hard. And it was great. It was actually the one of the best ways that that can go is when you kind of when it's your part of the conversation about how much you're going to be drinking. It's great.
Yeah, and that's probably another trial and error. It's probably someone that's been doing this a while and has had to deal with people way over intoxicated, probably traveling musicians. It was like, oh shit, I did
Yeah.
that. That's now I gotta deal with it.
Whoops.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So, what is some advice that you have for younger artists or just less experienced artists when it comes to trying to take care of their mental health struggles when they're on the road?
I would say definitely have a journal to write in the morning and at night. Because I find that kind of just like letting the venting out, like for any frustrations you're having or kind of anything that's bothering you, if you can let it out via pen, it won't come out the side of your neck at your friends and bandmates. And also, if a conflict comes up, try to address it right away. Try to be like, "Hey, your tone there was, kind of sharp with me." And like, if you're just cranky, that's fine. But is there something that you want to tell me that like we can fix? Like, are you mad that I forgot to get you coffee this morning? Because you know, anything can happen, right? Or like, that we didn't stop by the place that you really wanted to see in this town. Like, do you want like a free pass that will stop wherever you want in the next town? Like it's just it could be anything, but if there's a lot of crankiness happening or frustration, like don't just ignore it and assume it's going to pass. Just ask. It doesn't have to be the end of the world. It's just a quick question of like, hey, is something specifically actually bothering you? Do you need a snack? Do you, like just talk to each other, and it's true for yourself too. Like if you are driving and everything's been fine and suddenly you find yourself just like hating the way it sounds when someone breathes, you probably need a snack or a break or just like to walk around outside of the car for a minute. Like we're humans, we're animals. They're just like cute little mammals like all the rest of them. And if we don't get the fuel we need, we're gonna react badly. And so those are some things that I would really recommend. And also, if you have the kind of friendship with your band where this works, I actually found it was a great idea when we made well, depending on how old your car is, either mix CDs or a playlist that everyone contributes to. So if it's mix CDs, I had everyone like make two that were like good for tour, and I put them in a book and like a CD book like we used to have. And if you have a car that's new enough to do a playlist, you can make a collaborative playlist on most of the streaming platforms. And I just made a long one, made it collaborative, and I was like, everyone throw like 5 to 30 songs that you like on this. There's no limit. And then when we're driving, I hit shuffle. So it's not like, oh God, who wants to listen to the entire Rush catalog again? It's like, hey, look, one Rush song came on and now it's over and we can hear other things. So, but it gives everybody a chance to hear different stuff. And then you can like share songs you like that you might not have shared before, but nobody actually ends up owning the sonic landscape of the van for more than 5 to 7 minutes, unless someone wants to be a real jerk and put on the Neil Young Arc song, and then it's 27 minutes, I think. And then they like, yeah, I'm going to shake my finger at that person because that's not cool. But although I do like that album quite a lot, but it's not the point. You don't put a 30-minute song on a group playlist. Come on now. Anyway. I
No, I
digress.
see. I'm terrible about I'm the old punk guy. All my songs are like 60 to 90 seconds long that I listen to. So
See?
I'll do that with my
Yeah.
son, and he's 19 and he listens to songs that are like 7 to 12 minutes long, and I'm like, this isn't fair. I should get five
Yeah.
minutes. But those are both really good things that you mentioned
Oh, I
though, because
agree.
the having the music, I mean, you're that's what brought you all together in the first place is music and your love for it. So doing something
Yeah.
as simple as a mix CD or a shared playlist is a really neat idea. That's really cool. And like you said, communicating. Like everybody communicates differently, and artists are
Yeah.
notoriously not great at it. That's why they're artists. That's how they communicate their
Yeah.
feelings. So, and going into it
Yeah.
knowing that nobody here wants to talk about how they're feeling, so you got to figure out your limitations and your bandmates as well. So yeah, just being open, and it's like I'd rather be open with someone and have them be snarky at me now and get over it than sit there and me
Yeah.
fester about something and then me get snarky for no reason, then it end up being a whole thing. So it
Right.
really is being patient and, well, picking good people to work with. And you seem like you really
Yeah.
found your people, and I'm really glad. That's good.
Thanks. Yeah. I always want to play music with people who I can assume the best intentions of. And then that way, if something that feels negative starts to happen, I don't assume it's about me. I don't assume it's not about me either, but I'm like, you aren't normally like this, and so you just let's just talk about it. And hey, I'm fallible too, and if I feel like if someone tells me that I hurt their feelings or I did something messed up, I'm just, sorry is not hard for me to say. So I'll say it all the time, you know?
Well, exactly. I mean, I'm the same way. I'm the eternal peacekeeper. I just want everyone to be happy, get along, and have a good time. So I
Yeah.
think every group needs that one that's going to initiate, the Mister Rogers character, the one that's everybody, come on, we're okay. Let's talk it out. Let's get the feelings out,
Yeah.
and let's move on. All right.
Yeah.
Well,
At
thank you
least I
again for.
try, right? We
Oh,
try.
exactly. So, what have you got coming up?
Well, right now we are going to be playing at Folk Alliance. We've got Folk Alliance Internationals in New Orleans this year in the third weekend of January. So we've got four shows to play there and some different private showcases. So that should be super exciting. Going to be there with Paisley Fields and Wiley Gaby and Chris Matthews and Evermore Nest and a whole bunch of just really awesome performers that I can't wait to see again. And then in when's the next show after that? Hold on, I'm like forgot all of a sudden. I know we've got another show, some shows in New York in March coming up, and I think that there's something in February, but I can't remember what it is. But mainly it's New Orleans and then New York, and then uh, I think there's a Bay Area show in April with Vagabondage, my accordion band. So,
Well, that's cool. I definitely got to look into them and say hi to Paisley for me. That's how I got introduced to you. He was
oh, I will.
actually he was the first guest that I had that I didn't personally know. Me and him had a mutual friend that connected us.
Oh,
So he
that's
was actually
cool.
my very first guest that I didn't know. And he is just a joy. His personality is as sparkly as his
Oh,
vest, and I freaking love it. He's always so positive. So that'll be a good show. So you have fun and make sure you tell him I said hi.
I will absolutely. Paisley is one of my closest friends, and I just love playing music with them. So it's always a win.
Yes. All right. Well, Emchy, thank you again. I'm glad we finally were able to connect after several issues coming up. It was so great to have you on today. I really appreciate you. I appreciate your music, and I just wanted to keep doing what you're doing. And thank you again.
Thank you.
All right. Well,
Well, thank you for
everybody.
having me. I had a really great time chatting.
All right. Well, everybody, thank Emchy for coming on. And again, thank you for watching and listening. As always, like, subscribe, share, do all that stuff. Give me some feedback, positive and negative. And as always, please have fun and be nice to each other. Because if you're not, there's no freaking point. See you later.